ain't got it bumping.
I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill.
Coming fresh up out the jungle, haters told me I'ma stumble. God told me I'm a young king, rumble, lion, rumble. We could tussle if you wanna. I'd rather hit the hustle. All my homies call me Cup. I'm the leader of the huddle, lifted by the hand of God. I'm just a piece inside the puzzle, a piece without a muzzle. Try to lead them out the struggle. You believe it when you see it. My demons start to shudder. Hey, tell them get to stepping. Boy, don't make me pull this weapon. Go.
I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Let's go.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Sick of y'all being victimized. Hip hop got you hypnotized. Your weakness is they enterprise. Time for a new revolution. The Freedom Dot got a resolution. We gon' build this bank up and then thank God for the retribution. Lock and loaded, let's go. Hit the heart and the head. Whoa, yeah, you heard what I said, bro. Bible on me like lead, bro. God answering prayers, though. Never leave me on red, bro. Y'all fighting with flesh, though. I'ma show you what's best, though.
I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, I told that Bible, y'all told that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, what's going on, family? This is Jake Taylor Jacobs, your host of the Assets Before Splurging podcast, a show on the Brother Ben X podcast, the baddest podcast on the planet. Listen, I missed y'all. I ain't gonna lie to you. I missed you. You know why I missed you? Because I just like talking and yelling and screaming and stuff. Talking and yelling and screaming and stuff. Talking and yelling and screaming and stuff. That's what I like to do. I ain't lying. I just like to do that because I'm extremely passionate about what we do and teaching people how to become the bank, teaching people how to build independent lives from a system that has caused us and taught us how to be dependent upon someone else when we don't have to. So this show, I'm going to try, y'all. I'm working on not screaming and yelling. And I'm working on, I'm trying to learn how to talk regular like Brother Ben X. He's just real good at just like talking like regular. I'm trying to compose myself. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about do what the banks do, not what they say. Because you guys hear me all the time. I always talk about being the lender, not the borrower. I get crucified in the media, especially on social media, on a lot of the live videos and streams that I've done on me talking about F the bank, don't mess with the bank, don't borrow money from the bank. And I mean it. Wholeheartedly, I mean that. And you got to understand that I grew up with a father who said the same exact thing. And a lot of people think about wealth and success in different ways. When it comes to leaving a legacy for my kids and for my kids' kids, you know, when people say, you know, buying a home is the best way to leave a legacy, I mean, the cheapest way to leave a legacy for your kids, guaranteed, is life insurance. I mean, I'm just going to be straight and honest with you. And half the people that, you know, go back and forth with me about what's legacy or what's an asset or how do you guarantee wealth or success, they don't even have enough life insurance to take care of 3 generations. And so I think that when it comes to legacy and wealth, I just like to go with the path of least resistance, to be honest with you. And so we're going to be talking about what the banks do, because a lot of us have no idea what the banks do. Most of us have no idea what the banks do, and to be quite honest with you, the large majority of us, we would love to know exactly what the banks do. because we have never been taught what the banks do. We just been taught how to trust the banks. And if you guys were to be honest with yourself, if you were to be honest with me, you all would agree that that's the only thing that we've been taught our entire life is how to just trust the banks. And in all actuality, I mean, I get what they saying and all good and dandy, but I'm not really just a fan of just trusting somebody. I mean, because typically, if you just want to be honest, usually you got to earn trust. You gotta know somebody to earn trust with them. And so today we're going to be kind of pulling back the covers on how the banks actually work. And when we think about these things, I'm going to be able to put some things into perspective for us, because a lot of us, we have wealth building kind of misconstrued. Deshaun said it right here. Deshaun said it best. Deshaun said facts. Life insurance first, and then whatever businesses or the knowledge on how to grow profitable businesses second. I mean, I think that's absolutely critical when it comes to that. And so I'm just going to give you guys my brain, give you guys how I feel, because a lot of you hear me talk with so much passion, and sometimes in the viral videos that I've done, 3 minutes or a minute and 30 seconds, it's not enough to be able to encompass all of my belief in why I believe the way that I do. And so we're going to break down how the banks work, what the banks do, so that you can kind of do the same thing. Because when we look at the scope of wealth and passing down legacies for kids and kids, a lot of us like to use biblical principles when it says a good man leaves an inheritance for their kids and their kids. And when you begin to start thinking of that stuff, the very first thing you think about is debt, real estate, businesses, this, that. And the path of least resistance to guarantee wealth for your kids is life insurance. Listen, you can literally buy wealth with life insurance. The path of least resistance to passing down legacy, it literally takes one conversation with an ABS broker. Call into our company. We'll help you out. But in all actuality, it literally takes one conversation, one application, and you've literally locked in wealth for your family. Eric Day say, what's the best type of life insurance? Whole life or term? We'll get into that today. I'm going to get in that today. So stay, and I'll kind of talk about the differences of the two. Okay. So when we talk about that, right? The very first thing that we have to understand is that you guarantee wealth with things that give you guarantees. You don't guarantee legacies or guarantee wealth will be passed down by speculative things. Real estate is speculative because the market is dependent upon somebody's value for the neighborhood, for the city that you have no control over. The stock market is dependent upon speculation, dependent on people's perception of the value of that company. Businesses are speculative because businesses' value are dependent upon other people's need for whatever service you provide. The only thing that is not based on speculation is based on guarantees is life insurance. So a lot of us spend all of our life studying all these books, trying to sound like the smartest person in the world. You got the most extensive portfolio, yet the person who just bought $1 million life insurance policy is not sweating because they know exactly what their families are going to get. Why is this important with our topic today on do what the banks do, not what they say? Because I'm going to show you for yourself that the banks put billions of dollars of their money in life insurance. I'm going to prove it today. I'm going to show you today where the banks store their money and how you can do what the banks are doing versus vice versa, doing what other people are saying and doing what the banks are paying people to say so that you can keep patronizing them. So we're going to learn how the banks function. We're going to learn how the banks work. And then we're going to learn the path of least resistance to locking in legacy and wealth. And it's not as hard as we make it. And I'm even going to go over me and my family's blueprint only using life insurance. Family, listen. I'm going to talk to you today. If you can stay long enough, I'm going to talk to you and show you. I'm going to explain to you and break down to you how my wife and I, just us two alone, have put a plan together only using life insurance on how our family is going to be worth $500 million by our fourth generation only using life insurance. Only using life insurance. We're talking about the path of least resistance. So, again, my name is Jake Taylor Jacobs. Welcome to the Assets Before Splurging show on the Brother Ben X podcast, the baddest podcast on the planet. And I'm the creator of, founder of ABS Institute. And I'm also the creator of the masterclass in this curriculum, I Am the Lender. Look at this curriculum, y'all. I Am the Lender. This is the curriculum where I teach you how to build your own banking system with your family. Y'all hear this? Y'all hear this? That's hardcover. This is textbook. I used to be a licensed teacher. I build curriculums for our institution. And this is one of the curriculums that we built for our masterclass, I Am the Lender Masterclass. The description to that below. But today's topic, we're talking about do what the banks do, not what they say. Can somebody put that in the comments for me? Can somebody put that in the comments for me? Do what the banks do, not what they say. Can we put that so if anybody comes into the show a little bit late, they can know the basis of our conversation? So if somebody comes into the show talking crap and they haven't looked at the basis of the conversation, y'all can eat them up. Can somebody put that in the comments? Do what the banks do, not what they say. Do what the banks do, not what they say. Okay, good. So we got sister cousin Ashley. She put it up there. I'm gonna put you right there, cousin Ashley. Boom, cousin Ashley helped her cousin out. I appreciate you. And just to let y'all know, I call everybody cousins because we all family in some form of fashion. Okay, let's get down to it. So I'm about to share my screen. So you guys can see with me. And so when it comes to the banking function, let me go back to me. When it comes to the banking function, what we have to understand is that we begin to trust a system blindly that we don't understand. We're trusting a system blindly that we don't understand. And I talk about becoming the bank all of the time, but I've realized that most of us don't even understand the functions of the banking systems that we use currently. So my biggest thing that I want to make sure that I provide to you, the biggest version, the biggest value that I want to give you today is to break down how the banks work. And they work almost like what you think they do, but in all actuality, they work nothing of what you do. And then I'm going to show you what the banks do. Then I'm going to give you principles and steps on how you can mimic exactly what the banks do so that you can be able to accomplish the same type of wealth strategies that the banks accomplish for themselves. So as we can look right here, I want you to see right here. We're on whatever this proschoolonline.com is. And this right here says that this is the functions of commercial banks in its role. Don't worry about the Indian part. We ain't got to worry about the Indian part. We just going to talk about the functions of commercial banks. So let's look at it. I'm going to make it bigger so that my family, we can see. For some of you guys that got bad eyesight like me, we're going to make it a little bit bigger. Can y'all see this? Let me know if y'all can see the screen. Can y'all see the screen? Let me know. Okay, y'all can see the screen. All right. So as we can see right here, when we talk about banks, okay, this is generally the scene that we see. This is generally the scenes that we see. We have to understand that the banks cannot function. Commercial banks, I'm not talking about the Federal Reserve. Commercial banks cannot function without the help of us storing our money with them. It's very simple. The banks cannot function without the efforts of us storing our money with them. Commercial banks are the epitome of the middleman between lenders and seekers. They're the managing party because we've decided as a collective whole that we can't trust our money with us, so we're going to put it with the banks. At one point in time, when your money was in the bank, you used to get 10 to 12% with your money in the savings account. Well, if you understand the savings accounts now, we can come to the conclusion that most of us are not getting anything close to 10 to 12% saving your money with the bank. So when we look at the banking function, we have to understand that the commercial bank's number one priority is to be able to give us, their job is to manage the resources that we cannot manage ourselves. Okay, family, their job is to manage the resources that we cannot manage ourselves. So we look at the screen, you can see the function of the bank. The individuals, they give their money to the bank lends it out. Organizations, the unions give their money to the bank lends it out. Businesses give their money to the bank lends it out. And as you can see, this function is happening time and time again. But the problem that most of us don't understand is that when we put our money with the banks, we're lending our money to the banks. And I'll prove it to you here in a second. I bet you didn't know that you were lending your money to the banks. So when you give your money to the bank, you're lending your money to the bank, and you're basically giving them permission to go make 6 to 28% on your dollar. And they only give you back 0.8%. So this is the general function of how the banking system works. Let's continue. So let's talk about the functions of commercial banking. These two are primary services of the commercial bank. Taking in deposits is a liability for a bank. So these go under the liabilities division. While lending a loan is an asset and comes under the asset division. Banks have several other products within these two broad headings of assets and liabilities. And a commercial bank's suite of products include, but are not limited to, the one we see below. So let's look at what we can see right here. So when it comes to liabilities, current accounts, savings accounts, and current accounts are like credit accounts. Saving accounts, fixed and term deposits, those are considered liabilities. The reason that they're considered liabilities, family, is because the bank is promising to pay us a certain percentage for the money that we give them. So if they're paying 0.8% or 1.25%, I saw somebody say we got the industry best 1.25% interest on your money. Now watch this. These are not dividends. So you're not participating in profits with these banking institutions. They're paying you interest for allowing them to leverage your money for the good of the bank. So that's why this goes under a liability, because it goes under them borrowing money from you. Them borrowing money from other financial institutions go under liabilities. Now, if you look at the asset class of the banking institution, the asset class, the very first thing that you see is the loan. This is how the banks make money. Cash in hand. What they mean by cash in hand is the amount of cash overload that they have after all expenses for the month or the year. That's considered an asset. And I'm going to show you where they put that additional cash, and it's going to blow your mind where they do it. Credit cards are assets for the banks. Why? Because they're lending money on credit, and they're making 12 to 28, sometimes 30% on the credit cards. So those are assets for the banks. Trade finance investments are assets for the banks. Other assets for the banks are insurance, investment services, and money transfers. So they want you to transfer money, i.e., why they want you to participate in the stock market. Because commercial banks are the ones who broker those deals. They deal with those transactions. So the more that people trade, the more that you move money, the more money that they make. The more money that they make. Let me go back to me. So the reason why I tell people we got to learn, families, how to become our own banking systems for our own family. I teach families how to become the lender, how to become the bank. This curriculum is the playbook to becoming the banker. I have a 30 lesson masterclass. This is the curriculum for it. Listen. This is like a textbook. This is the curriculum for where I teach you how to mimic the same banking cycles, how you can mimic the same banking system for your own family. Here's a statistic. Write this down. The average minority, specifically Black American, makes $1.5 million over their 35-year working career. The average Black American makes $1.5 million over their working career. The average Black American spends $1,082,577 of the $1.5 million for bank debt and interest charges. For bank debt and interest charges. That would be a whopping 72% of your money, our money, is going to the bank for debt and interest charges. So when people tell me that the fastest way to wealth is to borrow money from the bank, I'm literally thinking like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Because if you look at the numbers, 72% of the $1.5 million that we make over our working career, on average for the average ordinary Black American, 72% of our money go to bank debt and finance charges. So what is the bank debt? Car notes. Why? Every 4 years you want a new car. So what do? You turn in your old car for another car. You get back into finance charges. The average person finances 7 cars over their lifetime. Think about how many cars you've had. Think about how many cars you financed. And imagine how much money you spent perpetually going back to the bank. And purchasing the cars cash ain't the way either. I show you guys exactly how to build your own banking system, how to borrow from your banking system, how to purchase the cars, pay yourself back the principal and the interest that you would have paid the banks, and how you can come out on top every single time by mimicking what the banks do. So car notes, mortgage bills, credit cards, student loans are the reason why 72% of all of our money goes to bank debt and finance charges. There is no wonder why we are so freaking stressed out. Because every day is like a war zone for us. Every day is like a war zone. You're trying to keep hope alive. So watch this, family. I'm going to show you my screen. So watch this, family. Liabilities. Liabilities. Paid up capital and reserves. Deposits. You know what deposits are? Deposits are money that we deposit to the banks. Deposits are money that we deposit to the bank. The money that we sit in the bank are considered liabilities. When they borrow money, it's considered a liability, of course. Their assets, cash in hand, Money at call, short in notice. Money at call means they lent money out and the note is at call, meaning they can call it at any time. Loans, advances, bills are discounted in purchases. Those are all considered assets. Let's read together. The reason why I'm showing y'all on a public site is because when I show you guys, sometimes people be like, you know, where is that at? So I'm showing you on another site, and I'm going to break it down to you. Then I'm going to show you the strategy, if you stay to the end, on how you can become your own banking system by mimicking exactly what they do. Accepting deposits and advancing loans can be termed as primary functions of a bank. Their number one job is to accept deposits and advance loans. That's their number one jobs. A bank typically accepts deposits in current accounts, which are your active accounts, like your debit accounts, savings accounts, and fixed accounts. Dealing largely with liquid. On the other hand, savings banks accounts refer to cash deposits. These are all considered liabilities to the bank. Here are the various type of loans. Loan to an individual or firm against collateral security. Cash credit against collateral security. Overdraft facilities for business. They make a large majority of their money discounting bills of exchange, which means they're discounting bills of exchange. So when we go to that, what we have to understand is that the reason why all your gurus and all of the common knowledge is telling you that the path to success is to borrow money. Now, I understand the importance of leveraging other people's money. I understand that. I understand when you're trying to leverage, you need to grow. I understand the importance of gathering other capital to allow for you to expand. But there are other ways that you can do that if you pay attention. If you pay attention, there are other ways that you can do that. But we have to understand that the reason why it's common knowledge and open information and so much overwhelming information of how to buy, borrow, finance, use as credit, leverage the bank is because lending money is the primary source of income for the banking institution that runs our corporation called America. It's simple. So it's very easy for them to pay gurus to give them cheap, very, very cheap loans at almost 0% to continue to tell the masses to borrow money because they're making more money on the masses than the big guys. So there's a lot more bailouts available for them than the average ordinary person. So Jake, what do they do with their money? What do they do with the cash on hand? Where do the banks put their money? So as you guys can see, I'm at the FDIC.gov. I'm going to make it big. On the FDIC.gov, it says the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Any bank that is backed by the FDI to the C has to show their assets and liabilities public. Because why? Because taxpayers back the FDIC. So I'm doing it live for you so that you're able to see for yourself where the banks do. Why? Because the purpose and the name of this show is to do what the banks do, not what they say. The banks tell us to borrow money. The banks tell us to leverage their money. The banks tell us to leverage their credit. And think about it. If you had your own bank and if you were a bank, wouldn't you tell people that that's the fastest way to success? To borrow money from you? Why? Because your income is readily dependent upon that. Your income is dependent upon that. So wouldn't it make sense if you owned a bank for you to pay top financial gurus to give them 0% loans to leverage your money, because that ain't nothing but marketing dollars for you, because they have such a huge influence. You would pay them, lend them money at 0.01% just for them to convey to the masses to borrow money from the bank. Why? Why is that important? It's important because that's the number one source for their economic advancement, i.e., for their profits. Everybody want to be complicated. Talk about fractional reserve lending and this and this and that. And let's just get to the basic function of a bank. They lend to you. They lend to you because they realize that they get more out of lending to you than you get out of feeling like you're using them. Go look at your financial guru. Go look at the people you look up to. Go look at the billionaires that borrow all that money from the bank. And I want you to ask yourself a question. Is their lifestyle better than the banker's lifestyle? Do they have the biggest building? If you go to any country, any city, any state, any community, the hood, the wealthy, the middle class, the banks and insurance companies got the biggest, cleanest, best buildings. So isn't it safe to say, family, that the banks understand a system that clearly we do not? The banks are all about taking as least amount of liability or risk as possible and gaining the most assets and the most leverage as possible. Why do you think that they lend to you for that mortgage? Because they realize for a 30-year mortgage, the first 15 years of the mortgage, they're going to get all of their money back. Then have you noticed the moment that you're late on your mortgage, they're sending you foreclosure papers by accident? Because after they got their money back, everything else is a profit. They don't care what happens to you. Do you understand the name of the game? The banks want your land. So if you were somebody who were a banker, what's the path of least resistance? To be the producer who goes and finds the land, finances the bank's money, and over leverages, refinances over and over again, get home equity lines of credit on your land over and over again. Why? Because the banks understand this little formula called greed and ego and pride. And they know you will they create a system to where we continue to feel like we need them in order to survive. So guess what? They want us to continue as gurus, to tell you to continue to borrow your money, leverage that bank, leverage that land, go collateralize that land, go more equity out. Give the bank the deed to that home and go live your best life. While you don't realize the bank is not doing any of the work, but they're capturing the majority of the land and assets. Those big $1 billion people that you look up to, those big $1 billion families that you look up to, those big $1 billion gurus that you look up to, why do they go bankrupt? Huh? They go bankrupt because they owe more money than they actually have. So they go bankrupt. They lose everything. Do you know what the bank seizes? The bank seizes ownership of all the land, all of the homes, all of the building properties, because they were betting on you losing. They were betting on you not doing right. And they win the majority of the time. Wouldn't you do that if you were a bank? Wouldn't you do that if you were the bank? Let's be honest. If you owned a bank, wouldn't you do the same thing? Wouldn't you tell everybody to borrow from you? It's amazing to borrow from you. Why? You know why? You know why I lend money? You know why I decided to be the lender and I lend? Because you have real estate developers and business owners that are overzealous, and because they need your money and because they don't want to be patient, they will take any deal pretty much you give them. They would take any deal that you pretty much give them. And you know what I would do? I will bank on you paying me interest and then defaulting on your loan. So not only did I get the interest for several months or several years, you defaulted on a loan. Now I seize ownership of the property or asset or land that you have. That's 150% times more value than what I lent you. Now I have seized ownership of the very most important thing, the land and the building that's on the land. This is what the banks do. This is what the banks do. So let's go back to the bank. Let's go back to the bank. So we're going to go back to the bank. So we're on the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Follow me. I'm about to show you exactly how you can research it yourself. On the first page, sometimes they have it here, sometimes they don't. But information for bank customers. This means that it's available for everybody. You click Bank Find. You click Details and Financials. And you type in whatever bank you want. Let's type in Bank of America, which is America's bank. Let's see who owns Bank of America. Who owns Bank of America? Let's see. Who owns Bank of America stock? BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price. The largest buyers have been BNP and JP Morgan Asset Management. 5 largest inside investors: Thomas, Bruce, Brian, Jeffrey, and Terrence. You want me to tell you what the first priority of a publicly traded company is? It is not to the consumer or the client. It is to its shareholders. So they're going to make sure that the shareholders get their best end of the stick. I'm trying to show y'all why I teach people to become the bank. Why I teach you guys in our masterclass how to become and why you need to become the lender. So let's go back to the FDIC. If we go to the FDIC, what you're going to see, let me see if I can get my Instagram folks to see it. So if you go to the FDIC, if you go to the FDIC, I'm sorry, y'all. I was getting Instagram folk on it. If you go to the FDIC, let's type in Bank of America. and we're going to click the certification 3510. That's the national one. And what we're going to do, as you guys see, it says April 23rd, 2020. What's today? Like the 27th, 28th. We are going to click generate report. And we're going to look at the assets and liabilities ledger of Bank of America. Now, notice what this says, family. I'm not making this up. It says dollar figures in thousands. That means that any number that we see, we have to add 3 zeros to it. Any number that we see, we have to add 3 zeros to it. 3 zeros. I'm not making it up. Dollar figures are in thousands. So let's see how much money they invest in real estate, Bank of America. Of course, we know the main majority of their money is through lending, but let's see if they actually buy real estate. Asset line number 11. Oh, let's do bank premises. Yeah, let's do bank premises and fixed accounts. Asset line 10. Add 3 zeros to this. This says what? This says what? Add 3 zeros. $18 billion. So in bank premises and fixed assets, $18 billion. In other real estate owned, let's look at what other real estate owned means. Oh, don't let me do it. This is, oh my gosh. Oh, Becky. We doing this live. What we just do, we looking at what they got in real estate. Why are we looking at the bank, Jake? Because the bank is the largest, most wealthy industry in the world. So let's see what the banks own in real estate. Remember, we got to add 3 zeros. Real estate acquired. 342,000, add 3 zeros, $342 million of the bank's trillions of dollars of assets are in real estate. They have family residential, 1 to 4. $222 million they've invested personally, not lent out, but invested personally in 1 to 4 unit family residentials. See, I believe in doing what the banks do, not what they say. See, they say in order for you to be a good parent, you got to do what you say, not say what you want them to do. Am I helping somebody? So that's $22 million. You got to add 3 zeros. Remember to say that. 22 million. 221 million. 221 million that they put in 1 to 4 unit family residential properties. Multifamily residential real estate. 0 personal dollars invested. They'll lend to your butt, but they not going to take that risk. They will lend to you, but they not going to take that risk. Commercial real estate. They got more money invested personally in commercial real estate that they have ownership of than they do in what they say, multifamily residential. Oh man, I don't mean to go against your financial guru. I just do No, sir. No, sir. You're not paying attention, family. You're not paying attention. That's not thousands. That's dollar figures in thousands. So we have to add 3 zeros to any number we see. I said that, family, like 5,000 times already. Any number we see, we have to add 3 zeros. It tells us right here. So commercial real estate, add 3 zeros, 109 million. Total real estate owned, $342 million. In other real estate owned, $342 million is all of this assets in real estate. But everybody want to argue with me when I say real estate. Okay, my bad cousin. So everyone get mad at Jake when Jake say real estate is not the shortest path to wealth. The banks will lend to your butt because real estate is their safest bet to get their asset back. What is their asset? Their asset, remember, family, this is their asset. What's their number one asset? Loans. They want to get their asset back. Loans. So when I tell people, become the bank, be the bank, take our masterclass, become the lender, let me show you what the banks do. Everybody argue with me because you read a book that Robert Kiyosaki said. I don't want to be your billionaire guru. I don't want to mimic him. I want to mimic the institution that funds your billionaire guru. Loans are their assets, not real estate. Let's go back. So we saw that, right? Now add 3 zeros to this. They got $969 billion in loans out. They got 960. Let me go back. Woo! They got $969 billion in their asset class, which is pretty much a half in itself of the entire asset class of the bank. $969 billion of loans that takes up 50% of their asset class. And we got the nerve to be talking about real estate is the fastest way to wealth. I just want to mimic the banks. Don't get mad at your cousin Jake, please. I just want to show you what the banks are doing. I want to show you what the banks are doing. Now let's look at the type of securities they got. Because securities, what's going on, Joe? Because securities, people say, we want to invest in the stock market. Because you want to buy companies, right? I want to do what the bank's doing. Because I know the banks don't take that much risk. Let's see the type of securities that Bank of America invests in. Oh, U.S. government securities. U.S. Treasury securities. U.S. government obligations. They got $43 billion of U.S. government. So out of the $444 billion, because you got to add 3 zeros, out of the $444 billion of securities that they have out, 409 billion out of the, what'd that say? What'd that say? 409 billion are U.S. securities. 66 billion are U.S. treasuries. Now, when they talk about U.S. securities, let's see what they're talking about. Because that's the 343 billion plus the 66 billion. So the $409 billion of securities that the bank invests in ain't your stock market. Ain't the stock market you know. They want you to keep your money in the stock market because they make money every time a trade happens. That's free money to the bank. They get paid on the transactions. That's why they encourage you to invest money in the stock of the market. So, out of the $409 billion of the $444 billion that they invest in total securities, more than 90% of their investment in quote unquote securities are in U.S. government securities. Let's look at what U.S. government obligations are. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The majority of their securities are something in the form of residential, collateral, and commercially backed loans. What does that mean? That means that the banks are getting wealthy on guarantees. Oh, I told you I wasn't going to laugh. I wasn't going to yell. So I'm going to come. The banks, because I know y'all don't like me when I yell. The banks are getting wealthy off of guarantees. But your guru tell you to speculate. Let me stop before y'all try to put me against a certain guru. I'm just saying. I never aspired to be like your guru. I've always wanted to know, what did the banks do? So the bank only puts their money in places that give them guaranteed returns. That's why they invest in your residential. That's why they invest in your real estate deals. Because they know they done pumped up the market. When they seize ownership of their property, they just gonna sell it to somebody else who just wants a loving mortgage. Don't be mad at me. I'm just showing y'all facts. Can somebody put in the chat facts? Can somebody put in the chat facts? So, line 41. Wait a minute. Jake. Wait. Jake. Wait, Jake. Let's go back to, wait. Jake, wait. Let's go back. Let's look. Okay, wait. What that say, Jake? Dollar figures in thousands. That means any number we see, we have to add 3 zeros to it. Let's go down. Oh my gosh. Banks, like the company we're looking at, put $22 billion, add 3 zeros. They put $22 billion in life insurance. Oh, shiznai. They put $22 billion in life insurance. Notice that say assets. They put more money in life insurance reserves than they actually put in bank premises in real estate. They put 22 billion. Let's add 18 million and 342. Let's do the math. Yeah. Let's do the math. Let's do the math today. All right. So they put in bank premises and real estate that they seize ownership of, they only have $18.8 billion of their money attached to real estate directly. But they have $22 billion directly of money going directly into life insurance. Oh my God. Oh my God, Jake. Oh my God, Jake. You were right. We've all been yelling at you for no reason. We've all been calling you ignorant, a dumb ASS. But you just showed me that the fastest way to guarantee your wealth is to become the lender. It's to become the bank. You want to know why? Can I tell you why? Because the banks know something we don't. They've created a world to where we need them. And there's such a dependency. There's such a dependency on borrowing their money that they've created safety in knowing that the product they created called real estate and mortgage is a forever perpetuating machine that will never stop. And they can make tens of billions and trillions of dollars by lending money to us for those properties that we just want to control and own. So the banks family, control everything and own nothing. Become the lender. Become the lender. Become the lender. Become the lender. And last thing, family, because Brother Ben got a show. The last thing, I want to show you something. Because it's not enough time for me to teach y'all. Y'all got to get in my masterclass. The last thing I want to show you is this. Why do the banks put money in life insurance? Let's see why they do. Jake, bro, you really just showing us this. Let's look up what is bank-owned life insurance. Oh, let's look up Investopedia. Oh, let's see this. What is bank-owned life insurance? Bank-owned life insurance is a form of life insurance purchased by banks where the bank is the beneficiary and also usually the owner of the policy. Such an insurance, is used as a tax shelter. Now, I ain't the smartest tool in the toolbox, in the tool shed. But in order for something to be a shelter, that means that it has to protect something from something. Well, what commodity needs protection from taxes? Currency. So they store money in life insurance because it gives them tax shelter for the financial institutions, which leverage. Oh, no, it didn't. It's tax-free savings. So it's tax-free in there? And it's protected from life? It's protected from tax. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Family. It's time for us to become the bank. And if you want to become the bank, and you want to learn how to become the bank, and you want to take my curriculum, you want to take this curriculum, this hardcover textbook curriculum with my 30-lesson masterclass, where I break all of this down for you. And guess what? We're a licensed firm. So the moment you finish the class, we have licensed brokers that can actually help you put this specific type of insurance in place for you, so that we can show you how to become the lender and not the borrower. Because my favorite book says, the rich will always rule over the poor, and the borrower will always be a slave to the lender. It always also says that we should lend to many nations and borrow from none. The question that I have for you is, how are you living the abundant life that God ordained for you? And if not, you need to look at the video, the information in the video description. Go to the link. Somebody put the absinstitute.com in our comments. Click the absinstitute.com, register on our site, and if you do it in a timely manner, somebody on our team today can get you in the I Am the Lender Masterclass before the prices go up after Rona. So let me tell you, don't wait, because guess what? God wants you to be the bank.
Dylan got it bumping.
I tote that Bible, y'all tote that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, I tote that Bible, y'all tote that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill.
Coming fresh up out the jungle, haters told me I'ma stumble. God told me I'm a young king, rumble, lion, rumble. We could tussle if you wanna. I'd rather hit the hustle. All my homies call me coach. I'm the leader of the huddle, lifted by the hand of God. I'm just a piece inside the puzzle, a beast without a muzzle. Try to lead them out the struggle. You believe it when you see it. My demons start to shudder. Hey, tell them get to stepping. Boy, don't make me pull this weapon. Go.
I tote that Bible, y'all tote that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, I tote that Bible, y'all tote that steel. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Hey, spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Spiritually kill, spiritually kill. I don't need your worldly weapons, cause I spiritually kill. Let's go.
Sick and tired.